It's the Soft Issues podcast with Way, Matt, Lee and Ev. Are you sitting comfortably? This week we're talking about bad inventions, including but not limited to internal cabling, funky seat posts, and the teas made.
Keeps you grounded, doesn't it? There's something quite honest about actually getting out of bed to bottle it.
Yeah. Something quite honest about getting out of bed.
Yeah.
You're going to make it even harder for yourself.
It's quite bougie, isn't it?
And you have to throw the tea bag in the bag before you can make your cup of tea. That's if you want to make your morning a bit more entertaining.
Welcome to Soft Issues. What are we talking about?
I don't think
apart from biscuits and teas, mates.
Today we're talking about daft inventions.
General daft inventions or cycling related.
So I think it should be.
Well, we talked about the important stuff first.
Okay.
Biscuits and tea and teas mates, and now we're going to talk about.
Oh.
That's going to be the loudest thing on the podcast.
I want another biscuit.
That was Matt, by the way.
I want another biscuit.
Matt, reaching for another biscuit.
Some of us were working this morning.
Look out for that sound. You know, it's Matt going for another biscuit.
I'm hungry.
Tell you what, I just came back from Wales, and we had bara brith, which is like this.
How are you spelling that?
I don't know.
With too many letters.
How many L's in that?
Is it pronounced correctly as well?
Bara brith, I think.
That sounds as good as it's going to get, really, from any of
what
the
is
four
it?
of us. I think.
It's a brick. A brick of fruit, and I don't know. They're all the same. They all feel like some form of fruit cake and stickiness and just general. I think it's something that's so full of sticky syrup that it can sit for a long time.
I feel like you could have started with fruit cake and then gone into,
Could be a murder weapon as well, because you could just eat it after.
Yeah.
No, it's perfect. Supposedly quintessentially Welsh. So any Welsh listeners, please let
Can
me
we
know
validate
more.
this?
Yeah.
Tell us more.
Want to know more about it.
Get on our Instagram. What is our Instagram, Way?
It's the Soft Issues Pod at Soft Issues Pod.
Right. Cool. Just in case anyone does have a question or a query or some kind of criticism.
Yeah.
Or maybe some abuse to throw our way.
Are you inviting it?
It's engagement.
Sure.
So we can start with the hoverbar by Kanye? It's like 2 layers.
Oh, God.
Remember that one?
I saw it the other day. I was working in a bike shop and there was one of those in. Yeah, it still exists. It's there. And it's just... So come on, somebody tell me...
Was it meant to be suspension? What was the idea?
I feel like it's just meant to give you a higher thing to hold on to when you're on the tops.
So they put it on that. So they have this gravel bike that they call the Grail.
Right.
And it's like
Grail.
really long, like super short head tube. And it's got this scaffolding rig assembly thing as a handlebar. And it's like really difficult to bar tape for a start. Because you've got loads of joins and kind of
you have to do 2 figure of eights.
Yeah, 2 figure of eights basically. Like most people can't get their head around 1. Not 4 figure of eights. Rather than 2
on either side. Yeah.
So, but I think it's just to kind of make it a bit more real world rideable, because otherwise no one would buy it. And it's a gimmick as well.
Is it a bike frame that they've designed from the ground up, or have they just taken
without
surplus smaller size frames and stuck some bars on?
They just tried to reinvent
one
it
advantage
right?
that might be as a consequence of this daft setup, more room for activities for your bar bags and things.
Activities? Is that what you're going to call it?
Yeah.
Several
more
bar bags.
More room for handlebag related
and lights
activities.
and other bits and pieces. I suppose you could have old school rally car lighting all the way across your bars, and then you've got another handle to hold on to.
Are they all flared as well? Can't remember. I
don't think they are much. Really? No, I think they look like
just because you've got so much real estate at the front, you just don't need it.
Yeah.
Well, I think both bars are very flat and quite deep in their width, and so you could put your hands all over it. But
not ergonomic at all, because it's literally a flat bar.
It's just flat,
right? It's a flat. What's the word for completely perpendicular to your shoulders?
I mean, you described it pretty well.
Is that a term that you use in bike fitting?
Perpendicular to your shoulders.
Perpendicular to your
I
shoulders. You know, maybe you should
Bike
start.
fitting, anyway.
Unergonomic?
Less ergonomic because, like, you know, when you get, I've got those Ritchie bars, and they just the regular Ritchie bars, and they just curve in just a tiny bit on the tops, makes them way more comfortable.
Yeah, but the bloke that designed them actually rides his bike.
Yeah,
a lot.
Who at Canyon rides bikes? I don't think many people, given their bikes. Of course, if anyone at Canyon is listening and wants to give me a free bike to criticise, I will.
We could test it out, can't we?
Yeah. Have any of us ever actually ridden that bar? Like
No.
in anger?
No, it could be
Or that
amazing.
bike?
Not in anger,
Exactly.
because I don't think it's the kind of bar that you ride in anger.
That's true.
I think it's the kind of
They don't make
bar
it
that you ride in the opposite of anger.
I think they do.
I don't,
You can still buy the Grail.
Yeah.
But
It's the
maybe it's
carbon
different
one.
though, because they did break a few times, didn't they?
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, well, it's
Canyon don't have a great history with
They don't do
broken bars, do they?
Or seat posts.
Seat posts as well. Yeah. Although I know they brought who actually made the first Leaf one, because it's also made by Ergon. Isn't it?
Ergon.
Was it Ergon first,
Yeah.
and then okay?
Yeah.
So I was about to say something nice about Canyon, but they didn't even have that either.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
God, getting into it, aren't we?
Terrible.
Well, Ergon, the company Ergon was formed by the guy who runs Canyon. His brother runs Ergon.
Yeah.
So there's a very close connection.
Oh.
Okay, fair enough. Well, that is.
And they have the same number of letters in there. No. Wait, hold on.
Quick maths.
No, they don't.
Well, I want to say that I think the Leaf seat post is amazing, actually.
Yeah, it's a great seat post. It's
I-
super annoying to adjust, but like when you
It takes time, but when you get it right, it's amazing. Super good.
I just feel like something's going to get stuck in there.
In where?
In
Wedged
between
in
the
between.
two. Yeah, wedged in between the two leaves,
Like what?
like rocks
Like a bug?
or a bug or mud.
Spider?
Rocks.
I don't know, something.
Someone throwing rocks at you.
When I ride, yes,
Oi.
quite often.
Maybe you could put something in there. Put some cake in there. Some Barrow Brits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds actually that's the
More
perfect
storage.
elastomer.
Did say
Yeah.
The bike industry, they're missing a trick.
Cake elastomer.
Yeah.
So that's good then. That's a good invention. When we talk about bad ones, aren't we? I
Bad-
just felt
bad
I needed
bike
to
is
soften
Speaking of
things.
seat posts, envy seat post.
MV seat post.
Describe this NV seat post that you hate so much.
It's like the foot. So many bones. So many individual components.
Is that for the clamp,
Yeah.
or is that for the
So I think this thing breaks down into like 6 different bits. And it's reversible. You can put the wedges in at different angles.
It's reversible.
Yeah.
Interesting. I can get my setback after all.
No, only in terms of ankle.
Oh, rubbish then.
Yeah. The setback is the setback.
This is not the one with the two separate bits.
Correct.
It is.
Yeah.
So you can change. You can go from 0 to setback.
No.
No, it's not
So you
that
can go. You can change the angle of it by flipping the orientation of the wedges and the orientation of the bottom part of the actual clamp that holds the rails. But it's just woefully over-designed.
Yeah.
Someone very clever has designed this and gone on a computer and gone, oh yeah, that's a good idea. And they've actually made it.
Or has gone, oh no, this is rubbish. I'm definitely going to delete this. Oh, but I fancy a biscuit. You know, they've gone away from their desk, and some marketing person has walked past and just like,
We can charge 400 quid for that.
yeah.
Yeah, stick an
They
envy
come
sticker on
loose all
it.
the time as well. I have to
Yeah.
regularly tighten mine.
Well, exactly. It's like rated to like no newton meters, and it just comes loose.
5.5.
5.5. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Outrageous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For-
I want
for
a
a seat
Ritchie
post
one that I
now.
can put about 12 through.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want
13.
security. I want security.
13, surely.
Oh, peace of mind. 13 just to be safe.
Whatever it says on a component, I
Plus
just do
one.
it like 2 extra.
Just to be
Just
safe.
Yeah.
crank it. Yeah.
You like to live life dangerously.
Yeah, totally.
Did you willingly buy your MV seat post, or did it come with your bike?
No, it definitely
Is that-
didn't come
is
with
that
the bike.
what that is?
Yeah, that is that.
Okay.
Gonna-
going to have a look.
Yeah.
We haven't seen one close.
It's comfortable. It's fine. I mean, yeah, it was ridiculously expensive. But you obviously got a deal from Saddleback, I think, at the time, possibly. And also at the time I had bars and the
See what I
stem
mean?
as well. So it kind of went.
It's a shocker, isn't it?
It's.
Absolute shocker.
I mean, if it had a shock in it, it would make more
What's
sense.
wrong with a bolt at the front and a bolt at the back?
Yeah.
Or just one going straight to the middle, just one.
Yeah.
less good, but it'll
I
do.
don't know. Have you ever tried the Moots one? The Moots one.
Have a
really
word.
good.
How much is the
The
Moots
Moots one's
one?
really good. Okay, it's really expensive.
It's like £1 million quid.
I think there should be a limit.
but it's
then.
so lovely and simple. It's just one bolt. It's just boom, boom, like that.
This goes back to the ladies' lingerie argument, doesn't it? Like the less you get, the more you pay.
That's bikes in a nutshell, isn't it?
Yeah.
The less material you get, the more you're going to pay
It's
for
only
it.
2.5 kilos for a frame and wheels and bars and saddle, but it's 10 grand now.
Yeah.
Same goes for coffee now. Like it used to be, like you used to want to get the biggest possible. You still get the same amount of coffee, 2
Grande
shots.
latte.
And now you have like a cortado. It's like a big drink. Do you know what I mean? And that's like 4 ounces. like you don't get any money for your value anymore. It's just ridiculous. Same as bikes.
That's
Everyone
America,
wants
mate. You
light.
get a litre
Yeah,
for
a
like
litre of coffee,
$2.
an extra shot.
Yeah. No coffee in it, it's all sugar.
Or cream.
So we've got the Canyon hover bars
Yeah,
so far, which we don't like.
Specialised hover bar, brilliant.
They got one as well. I haven't seen
it's
it.
just an alloy one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an alloy
It's
one
nice.
with a 15mm rise.
Oh,
to it.
that's different. Yeah.
It's more of a bend.
No, I like
rather than-
that's a great idea for people
Not
who
to confuse
accidentally
the two. Yeah.
people who accidentally bought a drop bar bike and didn't
And
realise
too
what they were
much.
getting into,
Yeah.
and have only ever ridden a hybrid or a Dutch bike, and suddenly it's like, what? You want me to reach where?
Well, it's a solution to a potential problem, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, this goes back to what you were saying a couple of episodes ago, I believe. I don't know. The order's all over the place. Where you were talking about the data set of people.
Oh, yeah.
What were you saying? How did you word it? Cleverly, at the time, I think.
Can't remember. Doesn't
Just
sound like me.
more
if it was
people,
worded clever.
more people, wider demographic of people riding bikes than just pros and
Oh, the bell
people
curve.
want
something.
to be athletes.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to accommodate for those people.
Exactly.
I think
That
that's
makes sense.
what is annoying about lots of proprietary equipment and say a bike that's designed specifically around a certain set of handlebars which fits perfectly in the bike design, but it only fits a very small part of that bell curve.
Yeah.
And so it's a very restrictive bike.
Wasteful.
Yeah.
If this was QI, the alarm bells would have gone off. You said the word of the day, which is proprietary, which is the worst thing about bike industry and any industry really, is as soon as somebody makes something proprietary, they try and lock you into that thing. So it's like, okay, if your handlebars break or your fancy seat post breaks, you have to go back to the manufacturer to get that particular thing. And if they cease to exist, and many are, you're...
Yeah, it's just like cars, isn't it? You can't take your car apart these days. If you buy a modern car, it's all kind of bolted down in the hood, under the hood, and
Need a laptop.
yeah, you need a laptop to service it, and parts are only available from.
Sorry, but the last few days, freelance bike mechanicking, I've seen a lot of e-bikes. There are, since the last time I was doing mechanics, which was maybe only a couple of years ago, like doing it full time, to now, oh my god, Van Moofs, Go Cycles, other clones of those. There are so many, and it's like these are not bicycles anymore. These are just completely proprietary. Like anything goes wrong with them, you're a computer monkey now. You're just like, you have to go online, search for the problem, put in the serial code or the error code or whatever, call them up, and say it's telling me this. What do I have to do?
It's a way of getting you back. Simple as that, isn't it?
It's just
You have to. You can't go elsewhere.
But what happens, like with Van Moof, when the company goes under?
You have to get a new bike.
Yeah, basically.
Well, they're just
It's
different,
terrible.
They're just different beasts. Aren't they? Like e-bikes, I don't really consider e-bikes the same as bikes. They're just a different thing, different form of transport altogether. I mean, like I was out in Wales mountain biking, and almost every other rider I saw was on an e-bike.
Really?
Yeah, it was amazing.
I mean, I can kind of understand that because you just described Wales earlier as
Yeah.
either up or down.
Yeah, and I get it. Like it makes kind of getting around and enjoying those hills easier. But also you lose a very, like for me anyway, a very distinct part of riding bikes is the effort and the fitness required to get up a hill, and that ability to get to the top or go down, and the skill and fitness that is required. It's exercise. It's supposed to be hard.
Yeah.
It's no fun when everybody's doing it, is it?
It must be an age-related thing, though. I think, if my dad turned around to me and said, "Oh, I'm getting an electric bike," I'd be like, "Cool, 67,
sure,
absolutely fine."
Yeah.
But I think I got a lot of my morals going up hills and down hills. I remember my dad saying, to go up you must come down, and I think that's nice. It's good to be able to work for something and then get to go down the hill after and enjoy it.
Well, whilst you have the ability and capability to generate enough power and strength to get up a hill, then why not use that?
Yeah.
It's
good fun, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to a bike guide who was there, and he loves his e-bike because he is literally riding every single day and taking people up and down mountains. And sure, then that's a great use for an e-bike because he's tired and he's been doing it for months and months and months already. But for me anyway, a big part of bike riding is the effort that is required, and that's part of what is rewarding about bike riding. So.
And we're talking about recreational riding for fitness, for exercise. It's kind of all of our field, right? Obviously, transport is different. Commuting on your bike, ride wherever you want. Ride an e-scooter if you want. You look like you can do it if you want.
Ridiculous inventions. Scooters.
Saw someone.
I prefer them to mopeds, I've got to say, because mopeds are just awful. I saw someone having a fight today, 2 mopeds together. It was very entertaining.
2 mopeds having a fight?
Yeah, I mean, not the actual bikes, people on the bikes. No, it was very entertaining. Right by Euston.
Wow.
Very nice coffee.
There's always a fight right by Euston.
One of them was going like this, I'm putting my arm up as if I'm nudging someone. So they're both nudging each other down the road, apparently.
Oh, as they were riding?
Yeah.
No,
were they practicing for crit racing or something? Because that's generally
maybe there were cyclists that were just confused and got on the wrong bike. I don't know.
Anyway, are we lumping e-bikes into things that we like or not like? Or is that just
too much? There's a time and a place.
Yeah.
There's a time and a place, like the mountain bikers in Wales. Instead of driving a massive pickup truck to a location with their bikes on the back and then getting their bikes and then riding around a little bit and then driving home, they just ride the bike the whole time, which obviously is better. Right? But
and people come in for a holiday as well that might not cycle usually, and it would put them off. But with a motor, they get to actually enjoy scenery. It's definitely not a bad invention. You can't say that.
You took a e-bike out, didn't you, Matt?
Amazing.
Matt prefers them.
Absolutely amazing. Yeah, 100% my next bike will be an e-mount bike.
Which one?
I don't know yet. I haven't got
No
that
idea.
far.
You're going to go for steel?
Probably not.
Really?
Yeah, just get a carbon one in it, like everyone else.
Here's my problem with e-bikes. Is there one of my primary criteria for any level of active transport, like a bicycle, is can you sling it over your shoulder and get up a flight of stairs with it? That's the only limitation when it comes to e-bikes. Some of these things are just so heavy. They're not for lifting.
Yeah, they're just not bicycles.
They're not bicycles. Yeah, it's more it's a scooter.
Yeah.
It's like a moped or whatever. It's that kind of thing. So
you can't really ride it without the motor being on.
You can.
I mean, you can.
Blooming hard.
Yeah.
But then cyclists have terrible upper body strength, so maybe it could be a way to even that out. So just get really heavy bikes and just have to carry it around. What? The gym? What's that? The what?
An often underutilised invention.
How do you get to the gym on your e-bike?
Right. You won't be getting home if you lock it up, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Has anyone got any ideas for bad inventions?
Internal cable routing.
Internal cable routing. I guess that is an invention, isn't it? Who did it first?
It's been around for ages.
Why did some... Presumably it was on a TT bike or something. That would have been the first internal rear brake or something. Right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, like they definitely had them on kind of older steel bikes, like a semi-internal, like kind of routed through the top tube, things like that. Probably for aerodynamics of some kind. Some of it for aesthetics.
Definitely aesthetically on a steel bike, like on a classic steel bike, when you've got a cable going in, cable coming out, it can look really nice. It can look quite cool.
Yeah.
But so I don't really have a problem with that part. That kind of like, okay, let's get rid of the cable. Let's get rid of the inner cable, being exposed, because obviously you get corrosion, you get dirt in there, all sorts, and it messes up your shifting and your braking, whatever. But so going in the frame and then coming out is fine, but that's where I draw the line.
What's too much for?
Too much is like fully internal. Right, we're going. I had to set up a giant propel the other day.
Oh, was it the?
It was the older one. It was a rim brake. Yeah.
Oh, when it's there near the bottom bracket.
Yeah.
That's so hideous.
But it's
that's a bad
stem.
invention.
It's the stem thing. It's like it comes in and out of the bars for about 3 inches. This cable.
Yeah.
And the pads are always sticking as well. It's ridiculous.
And then it goes into the stem, like through the back of the. Oh, it's just. Oh, I don't know. It's just stupid.
So just to clarify, we're bashing fully internal cable routing of cables which come through handlebars stem into the frame and out somewhere.
But the whole thing about like cable routing, right? The cable, the less kind of corners, the less bends and kinks in the cable, the better it's going to perform.
Exactly.
Right? So when you've got hydraulic disc brakes and electric shifting, like Axis or whatever,
not a problem.
No cables, no issue.
Not a problem.
When you have to run 4 cables through a stem to go into a head tube, that's when you get issues, and you wonder why your shifting doesn't work.
Well, this is why most of those bikes were kind of like, it was designed as an afterthought. So the designers have gone, we've got electronic shifting and hydraulic brakes now, right? Everything's internal. And then somebody said, but we want to hit this price version. Point. Yeah, we want a cable version. And they're like, well, I suppose you could drill another hole, And it doesn't work very well, but you that's tough. You bought the crappy one. The whole idea
the more
was
economical one.
The more economical. Buy a bike with external cabling.
How many people, for us in bike fits, how much would you say that people want or need internal cabling as their new bike that they want you to recommend?
Need 0.
Okay, want.
Want everyone. Everyone wants
it.
I mean, you have to admit, it does look clean. It does look lovely when you don't see any cables at all.
I don't mind it, but I understand why people do like it.
Yeah, there's no need for it, really. I mean, the need was really from an aerodynamic standpoint.
Yeah.
Like hiding the cables would give you a minuscule watt saving.
It doesn't. Come at me, everybody who thinks they're an aerodynamicist. Does it? It just doesn't. You've got a body on the bike.
Mind over matter. It can make you feel faster because then you might go faster.
Yeah,
just paint your bike. Just get a new paint job. You'll feel faster. Buy some new shorts.
Everyone's always looking for those like minuscule gains, aren't they?
Marginal
Ridley made like trip tape,
again,
a sliver of a rough tape, which is like planted on the forks to kind of trip the air around it. And, like, do I feel any difference at all? Do I see any difference? I don't know, but maybe if I think there is a difference, then maybe that's enough.
If that were true, you could run knobbly tyres on a road bike and it'd make you faster, wouldn't it? Because it'd trip the air as well. It's just like it's motor racing. It's people coming from motor racing, aerodynamics, looking at all that sort of thing. And go, that works. That actually works when you're going over 70 miles an hour. Just doesn't work under that kind of speed. On the kind of speeds that you're doing on a road bike, it's practically irrelevant. Unless you're doing like a kilo in the velodrome, you're actually hitting like 40 miles an hour or something. But even then, it's actually not that big a deal.
I want to believe, Ev. I want to believe.
You can believe, you'll be wrong. You can believe all you want.
But, like I reckon aerodynamics is just a look.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with it in the sense that if you want to design something that looks super sleek and cool, go for your life. But don't sell it to people. Don't sell them the lie that it's somehow making them faster. It's not making them faster. It's making them look like they want to, they feel cooler.
But we don't really know. So it could be making them faster. That's the
It's not. I'm still riding rim brakes. I'm still riding external cables.
I don't think anyone owns a fully internal bike, do they? Yeah.
No, we're far too boring and practical here.
I just have to see them.
So
all
what
the time
are the
on
worst
road.
things about having internal cabling then? Obviously there's got to be ramifications.
Well, for me, it's a purely practical thing.
Okay.
And maybe because it's my job as a bike fitter, that I want to be able to adjust things. I want to be able to move a handlebar up and down. I want to be able to put a new stem on. I want to be able to change the hood position.
And you
so
wouldn't be
on
able to do that because people might not know that you have to like bleed brakes and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think that's my biggest gripe. It's like people go into buying a new bike without the knowledge or being told. If you want to change anything about this cockpit, then you're going to have to take it to a mechanic, and it's going to cost you about £200-300 to do it, because we're going to have to take all the hose and cables out, we're going to re-bleed it, and then put it back in, and you're going to tell me exactly where to put it back in, and then you decide the next day that, that's not quite the right position. So you have to take it back in again, and then spend another £200 at re-bleeding and putting everything out again.
And the expertise isn't really there. There's plenty of bike mechanics, plenty of good bike mechanics, but there are also plenty of really bad ones. And, that's an issue when people take their bikes and go, can you sort this out? And then it's some teenager intern that hasn't seen it before, they haven't got the experience, so they're trying to fumble their way through it. And then you get a lot of, I see a lot of badly set up bikes that I need to fix.
Oh, don't even. Like, the dross.
I mean, do you get people coming in where you're like, I'm going to have to fix that before we even get started?
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah. Like,
Headsets are always loose.
Headsets, hood position and bar angle. Like,
hood position.
Honestly,
Tell
when
me,
you're working on a bike...
What's the correct angle for your hood?
Well, I'll tell you what it isn't. You're working on a bike at a dodgy angle in a work stand. You put the hoods kind of where you think they should be.
Put it on the floor!
Put it on the floor. Not hard. Like, one of the most common things we do is reposition handlebars and hoods, which you can't do on an internally routed handlebar.
Exactly. Or an
a fully
all-in-one.
integrated one.
Or an all-in-one.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you think about all-in-one bar and stem combinations?
Fine if you've been fitted before. If you know exactly what it is that you buy in, and you know exactly what it is that you get, the position that you need, where the hoods need to go, stem length, bar width, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, fill your boots, crack on.
Well, I'm noticing a lot of even pro bikes now, loads more spacers going on because they've got these one-piece bar and stems. So they've only got one angle, so you can't change the stem angle, and you can't change the angle of the bars and the hood position and stuff like that. So they're basically the only way to raise it up and down is to add more spaces.
But I think a lot of that though is like the generational change. There's like pros understand a lot more about biomechanics these days than they ever did. Like if you look at like Ryder Hagedal's setup when he won the Giro, was it like 10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago? Like that was one of the most ridiculous bicycle setups ever. But now people are
what was it like?
Well, so he had I can't remember what size it was, but it was a Cervelo R5 or an R5 CA as it was back then. Like a 14 centimetre saddle to bar drop, like a 130 -17 stem, like traditional Belgian drop bar, like just like the most ridiculous setup like you have ever seen.
It's a crit setup.
Yeah,
basically.
And he was riding the Grand Tour on it.
Yeah.
He did all right, obviously.
He did all right,
But for the rest of us, it's like, okay, so biomechanics, like force production is usually the limiter for most people going fast. If you can't produce force, you're not going to get up to the speed where aerodynamics may become a factor. So, and you've seen this a lot, like with pro positions. Like, we just spent 3 weeks watching the Tour. Majority of them are actually riding more reasonable positions than they kind of pros have historically done. Like Pog, his position looks pretty good. Like
it would be, wouldn't it?
It would be.
It
but
would
the
be
force he can exert
through
his bicycle at like the click of a finger, it's
He
it's
doesn't
just
have
like
any injuries as well. So
it's consistent. So if you can
did break
prioritise
his wrist.
stability,
I mean, like as a result of riding,
as a result of not crashing.
not like Van der Poel, who seems to be off the bike all the time.
Yeah, but if you can prioritise like stability and force production, then you're going to go quick. Like, and sometimes bringing the front end up a little bit just gives you that extra space in your hips where you can sit back on the saddle, put weight through the saddle, put weight through your feet, and actually put some force through the pedals using your hamstrings, your glutes, your core, like all the muscles that you should be using, rather than just rely on your quads and your calves.
What about when you get out of the saddle? It's a different ball game, isn't it?
What should you be getting out of the saddle?
I like it out of the saddle. That's where all my power is.
But you can get out of the saddle in any situation.
Well, yeah, but I do notice a lot of people with really, really high front ends getting out of the saddle, just no core strength, and they just look like they're just going to fall over. So,
and this is all to be taken a bit tongue in cheek as well. Like, we're ranting, but bars too high is just as bad as bars too low. So you just got to find the angle which is right for you. And if that's having a few spaces beneath your stem, then
nothing wrong with it.
I think bikes are so stiff nowadays that having a few spaces underneath your stem is not going to affect the handling that much. If if you're jacking it up like 50 mil, then different. But 20 mils gives you that adjustment. So
people are buying different the sizes that people.
Geometry's changed.
Because the geometry's changed, and they don't know what size to buy. So a lot of people, especially like pros or just amateur racers and stuff, they're buying smaller sizes because they want a lower front end, but they also maybe want they want a more saddle seat post for the aesthetics of it, the fashion. But also someone I know has a Cervelo R1, whatever the current fancy aero bike is now.
S5. So
it's like it's really, really similar to my 54. It's a 51.
Well, this is why frame size in conventions is just they don't matter,
because the top tube's like 53.5 or something anyway.
But this is the thing. Like, one of my biggest gripes is that I feel like bike manufacturers have a duty to make bicycles which are adjustable and do have easy practical adjustments so that people can find a position that they can ride in and ride comfortably and enjoy their bike riding. I understand bikes look cool, but integrated proprietary systems should be an aftermarket.
They should be banned. That's what they should be. Are we going backwards? Are we going backwards? We started off with steel bikes, everything custom, like lugged construction. You cut with tubes to whatever. You get your perfect bike. Well, I mean, did you get your perfect bike? Probably a lot of people
didn't know any better, did we?
Didn't know, yeah. But probably a lot of people had a bike that was maybe too big for them or whatever, because nobody were there bike fitters in the 50s?
Yeah, it was voodoo, wasn't it?
It's pretty weird. Pretty weird world, isn't it?
I mean, I imagine that there must have been. I guess the maybe the art form that's been lost a bit. Far be it from me to criticise frame builders, but as a frame builder, you used to have to be a bike fitter and a professor of geometry and a frame builder and be able to weld and do all that stuff. Whereas now, like every other field, everything's really separated. You've got experts, very, very niche experts in every field. So, you guys, you're bike fitters, professional bike fitters, you have to work closely with professional frame builders so that they get it right, because they don't know enough about bike fitting.
I think somewhat. It will depend on the company.
Yeah. Somewhat,
and you've got to remember there's more frame builders out there. There's also more call for custom frames. Like
True.
before, I think it was mainly just for pros, wasn't it? Rather than
But it went from, so it went, went to the, when was the TCR? The giant TCR was the 90s?
No,
Late
it's
80s?
A little bit later than
Early
that,
90s?
mid-90s,
Mid
late
90s?
90s.
So they went
Carbon
from
Carbon TCR.
whichever, I think is the
like
just the compact geometry.
Yeah, like
Just the
04
sloping
or
top tube.
05, maybe.
Okay.
I want to say.
So you went from full custom bikes with in many different sizes, or standard bikes in many different sizes, or full custom, I should say, and then you went to the TCR, which is we're going to make a bike that can be more sizes with the same frame just by changing the bits on it and the positions. And now we're kind of going full circle, because now things are becoming so proprietary, and you can't really have much of an aero bike with a really sloping top tube, because it's part of the kind of package, whether there's any science behind it, whether it's just visual. So we've gone back to this, and with single piece bar and stems and things like that, gone back to this point where you have to get the size right.
Yeah,
It's making you have to, isn't it?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to spend loads of money.
Yeah, I just feel like people, bike manufacturers are just shooting themselves in the foot. Because at some point, people are just going to get frustrated. You're not catering for the wider market. You're catering for a very niche, small kind of market. I mean, you look at triathlon or TT bikes. Like, most of the major manufacturers don't make a TT bike because it's just too specific. There's not that much demand for it.
So how do we get this specifically? How do we make... Because obviously people are still going to want these integrated bars. They're still going to want... Like, why isn't there an option when you buy a bike and they encourage you to have a fit? Why isn't there an option where you can choose your components? If they make it, surely they can make different ones of each size,
absolutely.
right?
There are plenty of examples of companies who do make integrated components, or components that do integrate well with each other, but still create an aerodynamic package. But it's adjustable. It's still not as adjustable as a traditional bar, but it is adjustable. Like even Specialized, like they make an aero handlebar and a stem, and the cables actually route externally, but they're kind of covered with a kind of cover clamp, so it's still able to be accessed. But then, the cables still kind of route into the frame and so on. It's still a pain in the butt to, move it around. But if people put more thought into the design process, then they can design these things to be more practical. But there is always the pressure of getting stuff done for that season. There has to be a continual kind of... There is a timeline.
Do you mean more choice at the point of sale, though? So if you've got like a Canyon Air Road or something like that, and you're ordering it and you're about to hit go on this bike, you're really like, right, okay, do I want a handlebar which is like 38 wide, 90
I meant
long,
that, like,
or,
even down to the choosing of your gearing and stuff like that, like, to give, because more people.
So that would be
aware
great for the
of
consumer, but it creates a massive headache for especially a direct-to-consumer model, because you can't just then go to your warehouse, pull a random box off a shelf, know what's in it, and then send it out. You've got to open that box, you've got to like spec that bike to that customer, and that takes time, and you put a lot more barriers into you getting paid, basically.
What bike shops are for.
This is what bike shops are for. Yeah, 100%.
This is what bike shops were supposed to do.
Yeah.
You walk into a bike shop, I want one of those. And
well, a lot of them
I'll
can't
get
it
one
right. A lot of them can't get it right.
No, they didn't. That's why they're all.
And they're not going to have
they're all going out of business.
items in stock either.
Yeah, exactly.
exactly.
There's supply chain issues.
There's
all
supply
sorts.
chain issues, and the price has gone up of everything. Yeah. Like, do we need to kill direct to consumer?
But then you get companies like Ribble who do offer a variety of, like, you can choose your bars, you can choose your stem length, you can choose all of that. The question, if I was Ribble, would be like, how do I let my customer know what is the right length? Like, how do they choose?
There's a lot of people, 50% of the people that are buying the bike won't know what bar and stem they want, and they'll probably get a big one because that's cool.
Yeah. So then
130 looks cooler than 80, right? Yeah.
So then, as a manufacturer, you say, well, it doesn't matter, so I'm just going to make a stock bike and send it out there, and they can figure it out themselves.
But if only they made if only they had, like, two tier consumer level, and then industry level, like bike fitters and bike shops, which is where you can spec like exactly the parts that you need. Like maybe consumers don't really need to have access to all that. What they need to do is go through a third party like a bike shop or a bike builder or bike fitter or something, and then you'll get the bit because you understand. Okay, you know what stem length they need, and you know what bar width they need, and you know if there are alternatives and stuff like that. You can just order it in. Customers don't want to be. They just want to. They want to know what the price is, and they want to click buy, and they want to know whether they can pay in installments. That's pretty much all they.
But to be fair as well to the consumer, the actual brands don't make it that easy because it's an economy of scale, right?
Yeah.
All they care about is their bottom lines at the end of the day. The bike industry does not have our best interests at heart.
What?
They just want to sell you a bike.
No way!
Boom, 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 boom. Mic drop. But it's like, it's economy of scale, isn't it?
Yeah.
The more obstacles you put in the way to getting paid, the less viable your business is.
Everyone
right?
wants to simplify. Everyone wants to go down the Apple model and say, right, this is the thing. This is it. It's this, or or bust.
But this is the thing. This is why there's always going to be a need for specialists who have that knowledge and have that, can convey that information.
It would just be nice if manufacturers took that into account and had a kind of because everyone's got a.
But why would you? If you can sell X amount more bikes, eat more easily, why would you?
Because you care.
What a joker!
Joke of the day.
Try explaining duty of care to your shareholders.
Because you get that with different companies, like most custom bikes, you go onto their website and there will be a link to a bike fitter in the local area, for example, that they recommend and that they would say you have to have this before you come to me.
But
the thing is,
but that's because they're manufacturing on a very small scale.
Or even Fairlight do it, and their stock sizes.
But it's like buying.
They're not canyon sized, are they? They're not like sort of specialised giant.
True.
Yeah,
they still outsource their bikes. They all come in on a big
a lot
freight,
of people do,
huge amounts at a time.
Yeah.
But if kudos to Fairlight though, they make way more frame sizes. They make twice as many frame sizes than every other manufacturer.
Yeah,
and
they fit really well.
Yeah, so it's much more likely that you can find a good fit for a greater range of different people. Mm-hmm. But yeah, absolutely, and it's still a set geometry, but I'd much rather see that. And they also build to spec. They don't have a stock bike which you just buy. You have to specify stem length, handlebar width, spacers, all the rest of it. But I liken it just to like going out and buying a suit. You can go to a very specialist tailor and have that suit absolutely perfectly dialed in for you and your occasion, like if you're getting married.
I did it recently. It was lovely. Yeah.
Then
does it fit?
I hope so. I'm going to collect it on Saturday.
Yeah. But if it doesn't
cut
fit,
down on his
then
biscuits every morning. Then.
Yeah. If something's
it's my only treat of the day. God damn it.
But that if you go back to that tailor, you try it on, and if there's something that needs tweaking, then they will do it for you because they want to make sure that suit is just right for you.
Or if you go to Primark, what will happen?
Yeah, so you go to Primark and you get an off-the-shelf suit, and maybe it'll fit you 70% well, and maybe that's enough for whatever occasion. And so there's a time and a place for everything.
Okay, but the Primark suit costs like a fraction of a bespoke tailor, right? Whereas the bike industry.
Yeah,
you're spending people are spending 10 grand on. But I don't know why. I don't know who these people are. They're spending 10 grand. I should probably find a few more of them. But like, if you're spending that kind of money on a bike, and not insisting that you get like a premium bike fit beforehand, and have somebody else handle the setup and the build and everything for you, you go like the fact that you can just buy off the shelf bikes at those sorts of prices from Cannondale or whoever.
It's just a bike though, isn't it?
But it does create a lot of business for us though, because they just come and have bike fits, don't they? Because they're miserable.
Well, yeah, but you'd rather people didn't come to you after the fact.
No,
you?
no, of course not. But
And
still,
then have to
gifts
do
as
that
well.
whole explaining.
Prevention is better than cure.
Yeah,
For sure.
What is the?
It was the wrong bike. Oh, okay then.
Yeah. Well, if somebody spent, the thing is, if somebody spent 10 grand on a bike and they come to you and you say you bought the wrong bike, the likelihood is they'll be like, "I'll buy another one." You know, if they can afford to drop 10 grand on a bike. But then there's people that have paid a couple of thousand, a few thousand. They've scrimped and they've saved, and all of a sudden, you have to, have to pose that question.
Yeah.
Like, how do you look somebody in the eye, guys, and tell them?
I find it really easy.
It's pretty easy. Yeah.
We've done it too many times.
What we've got here is a square peg and a round hole. You know what I mean?
It just doesn't work.
It just doesn't work.
Is that how often? What are we talking about percentage-wise?
But it's
often?
even like talking about things like cranks.
Mm.
Like the amount of times that we have to tell people that you would really benefit from, a shorter crank.
But I've got a power meter away.
Oh,
But
yeah.
people, it's broaching it practically though. You can sell that power meter, you can sell that crank that you've got, make that money back, and then buy a new one.
Yeah.
You don't actually lose that much. You can sell the bike that doesn't fit you, then get a new one.
We could sell the power meter that you never needed and never will need, and buy a regular set of cranks for much less money, and stop being.
But this
One of
is
those
this is the thing. The tricky thing is approaching that emotional level of maybe you've been either sold something that isn't right for you, or you've made a poor decision in your buying and bought something that's not right for you. I mean,
Or your body's changed.
Or your body's changed.
You've had this bike for 10 years, broken your body, now doesn't fit you and sits in the corner of a fit room.
And
Without a saddle.
He's talking about himself. Other inventions. Come on.
Oh yeah, let's
The
get back
Brooks
to it.
saddle.
The Brooks saddle.
What's wrong with the Brooks
my
saddle?
God.
Isn't it the most comfortable saddle in the world?
Like sitting on a horse.
Just thought I'd throw something.
I mean, that's the
controversial
idea,
out
isn't it? It is it's a saddle for a horse rather than a bicycle.
How long would be an average journey back in the day on a horse? Out of interest, would you
there.
go like
Depends where you're
across?
going, doesn't it?
Well, no, I don't know. Like a general trip. Like we're talking.
I'm fairly
hours?
sure it's well documented that people
Didn't travel.
travelled quite. No,
Well, they travelled like.
didn't they go quite across America?
I want to see data on horse.
This was the first
travels.
ultra distance, wasn't
But
it?
they didn't. No, but they didn't do the whole journey in
Well, they
one
stopped at inns.
go. They stopped. No,
Bars.
they
Saloons.
stopped. They stopped because they stopped because they were tired, and then they had kids, and then they never went any further, and their kids grew up, and they carried on the journey.
so like
Right.
settlers.
So by the time they got to the other side, it was like 3 generations different.
But everyone was always heading.
And that is
west,
manifest
right?
destiny.
Oh,
But you need a Brooks saddle if you're going to go far, right?
Put one on your Brompton. How far do you ride your Brompton?
I've never had a Brompton
From Waterloo to Bank.
bank. Yeah, I guess that's the one, isn't
from
it?
bank to embankment.
Exactly. But no, like the whole concept of the Brooks saddle is that it moulds itself to the shape of your backside. But what if your backside's asymmetrical? And if it keeps getting asymmetrical and you sink into an even more asymmetrical shape?
What if it doesn't mould itself to your backside? What if your backside moulds itself to it?
That is true.
So that's maybe not the most comfortable way to go about sitting.
I mean,
on
to be
saddle.
fair, before it gets comfortable, it's going to get nicked.
That's true. Yeah.
So
Unless you put an old Tesco bag.
let's
on
go
it.
back on it.
Yeah.
To make it look.
Because basically, do they not come with that in the box when you buy Brooks saddle? They
Standard.
come with a Tesco bag from the old logo from the 80s.
Not bought
Rain
a saddle,
cover.
to be honest. So,
I'm sure you can actually buy a proper fitted rain cover for a saddle that is the old Tesco logo. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure you can buy that.
I mean, I just don't trust anything that requires you to have a battle with it.
Yeah.
It's like, who's going to
it in.
break first? Are you going to break the seat in, or is it going to break your ass first?
Who's going to win that battle?
Doesn't need to. You don't need to do that.
it's like Street Fighter, isn't it? Who's going to win? Right, here's one. Tubeless tyres.
Ooh,
For road.
The
Oh.
road. No.
I was about to weighed in there. Tubeless tyres are amazing.
I've got tubeless on my mountain bike. It's amazing.
I mean, tubeless makes sense for mountain bikes, makes sense for large volume tyres, makes sense for anything. Basically, here's my criteria. Just in case you're
Says
interested.
the wheel builder.
If you can get your sealant in by just popping the one side of the tyre off and pouring it in, and then sticking your tyre on, pump it up. That's what tubeless is made for.
You can do that with road tyres.
Yeah. Have you tried it? Try that on a 28. It's not.
Really?
Actually,
it's
how
not
long
easy.
did it take you the other day to change those tyres?
Half an hour.
And that was with inner tubes.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
B1 help you.
Yeah. So yeah, no, tubeless is it's got its pluses and minuses. For road, it's kind of like, well, I mean, is the faff worth it?
Yeah,
Is the faff when you have a catastrophic failure? Is that worth it? Getting messy. If you have a catastrophic failure with tubes, oh well, you put another tube in, or worst case scenario, you have to take a cab and get another tyre or whatever, but you're not covered in sealant.
It just comes back to practicality again.
Yeah.
Can you take your tyre off? Can you change it? Can you keep going?
I think that's the main thing. Is can you? That I hear that from customers all the time. I want a tyre that I can get on and off at the side of the road when my hands are cold.
Yeah.
And not have to worry.
2 degrees and chucking rain in Kent in February. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Any honourable mentions of terrible inventions before we wrap it up?
You should have. You got to have one.
There's the suspension stems.
Future shock.
Future shock and anything with an
anything
elastomer in it.
Have you
specialised.
seen that Cane Creek, that suspension stem?
Oh, the Thudbuster. Oh no, that's the seat
No,
post.
that's
It's
the
the
seat post.
Thudbuster.
What do they call it? The EE Silk or something.
I haven't seen that.
It's a wonderful piece of engineering. Would not
Just-
let it anywhere near my bicycle.
Yeah.
But to look at,
Like things that people come up with that just add weight and create compliance where they should have been compliance, but they couldn't figure out how to, like metallurgy or carbon layup. People do that all the time.
It's like
Like,
tire
you need
pressures,
to do-
isn't it?
Yeah, I love it.
There's definitely a
tubeless.
theme of
Tubeless. There you go.
There's definitely a theme of proprietary parts being the main bad invention. I guess that is a result of like companies that are huge and that try and reinvent each different product year by year, and therefore creating something new and like cool and But it's
And they
always
never
kind
are
of-
because they're always just copying something that was done, didn't actually
work.
didn't work, and then there's been it's been 20 years.
Yeah.
We'll do this again, but this time it's in black instead of silver, so it's different.
So basically what we're saying is 18mm tubs, round tubes and 73-degree angles everywhere is the way to go.
Yeah, it's basically your bike, your dream bike, isn't it?
Pretty
Oh yeah,
much,
we didn't get onto seat tube angles.
That's an
That's
episode.
an entire
in
episode.
itself.
Electronic gears. That's another thing that you don't need, but everybody wants. Why not charge your bike? If it's electric, I suppose you need to charge it anyway.
It's always power in a cable.
I like my
depressing.
electronic gears. It's the first time I've had it. I couldn't go back now.
Really?
No way.
Oh, I've got between.
Tell you what, electronic gears on TT bike.
Oh, it makes sense. Makes sense because you want your blips on your whatever, but also it's a very niche, very specialist bike.
It's the T's made of shifting. It's nice to have, but you don't need it.
As we've come full circle, maybe now is a good time to wrap it up.
Enough about butts.
And if you or anyone you know has recently expressed a desire to own a Teasmade, well, quite frankly, you're beyond help. Follow us on Instagram @SoftIssuesPod. Leave a comment. And thanks for tuning in. We'll see you for the next one.